Hi everybody, Paul Chapman here. What I'd like to show you today is how we've taken some simple HTML game source code from W3 Schools, used Microsoft Visual Studio and a .NET template to create a .NET application of that same game that will run in a web browser. We show that running in a web browser on the x86 laptop that I've created that with, and we synchronize that. We push it up to GitHub, which is where the source code is then shared publicly for anybody to use. We then demonstrate how we can deploy that directly from OpenShift using the source to image capability and playing the game on a power system. And then finally, we show how you can actually just deploy the container image directly from Key.io as well. So first of all, let's take a look to see where we obtained the source code from. We can see the W3 Schools website here, and one of the examples for the graphics area is this simple game. You can go through this and you can create this yourselves. What we've done is taken the examples and actually popped that into a .NET template using Visual Studio. So we've put the code in here on the index CS HTML page. We can then synchronize that to GitHub. So that's synchronizing with the GitHub location right now. And then if I move across to the GitHub, that's a Paul Chapman IBM staying alive. So this is that same source code that was running on x86 previously. Oh, one thing I did also just want to show you that from this Visual Studio, we can actually run that on the laptop. So this is currently running on x86 right now, and we can play the game, try and keep the red square in the air, navigating the small gaps between the walls for as long as possible to score high points. So that's on x86. We can use that and deploy using OpenShift, using the source to image capabilities. So I'll log into OpenShift, create a new project, source to image game. We can look in the topology area and see there's nothing there. Within the developer menu, we can say add and import from Git. So I'll just go over and get the correct URL for the source code repository on GitHub. Pop that in, it's validated. We say we want to edit the import strategy to use a builder image. Tell it to use .NET and go ahead and create. Now that's going to take a minute or so, but while that's happening, we can see in the topology area now that we have the staying alive Git application. The light blue circle indicates that it's not ready yet. It's currently being built. We can go directly to that source code by hitting the GitHub icon there. We can also look at the log files by hitting the build running session here. When that happens, we can see all the log files of how that's actually using the source code from Git, building a container image and pushing that into the default internal repository registry for OpenShift. As I say, that's going to take about a minute. While I do that, I'll just show you over on Key.io. I've taken or created container images and shared that publicly within my Key.io repository. I've got one there for x86 and one for power. So we can now see that at the bottom it says push successful. That means it's actually created a container image using that source code from GitHub that was pushed up from Microsoft Visual Studio and created with the W3 schools source code. So now that's the case, if we go back to topology, we can see the light blue circles turned dark blue. And if we hit the open URL, that will actually open up a browser to that application. So now where we saw the game and that source code running on x86 previously, this is now running on Power with OpenShift. So that's using the source to image capabilities. What I'd like to do now is perhaps just create another project. Well, they're staying alive, name of the game. So again, now it's a blank canvas, we've got nothing in there. And again, through the developer menu section, we can say add. This time, instead of saying import from Git, what I'll say is let's deploy using an existing image. So if I go back to our Power image here, then we can copy the URL for that image. We can paste that in, and OpenShift will validate that that's okay. And then we can say create. Now this should be quicker because it's already got the container, and it's just got to download that container and start it. And you can see that that's already been started now because it's in dark blue. So if I hit the open URL, then that application is already available for us. And that's two different ways of playing the game, one from container image and one creating a container image directly from the source code. And we also saw the same source code running with .NET and Visual Studio on my x86 laptop. So that's all I wanted to show you. Hope that's been of some use, and enjoy the rest of your day.